Another beautiful day here on Morning Prime. I trust that you've slept easy and you've woken up well. It is Friday, the 30th of June, 2023. Of course, acting as a segue to the weekend, or ushering you to the weekend to have another restorative time so that you may get rejuvenated. Thank you for joining us. Every Friday we have Uongozi Today coming your way, where we take a critical analysis on the current state of play of leadership here in the country. All right, today is a day when Kenyans, most of them, even this morning, will be rushing to the petrol station to make sure that they have their cars fully tanked, because the prices of fuel are bound to be going up by midnight today. And that is topping up with 11 shillings or 10 shillings, according to EPRA, who will be releasing, of course, these figures tonight. So this is bound to make the cost of living even get harder, because we are trying to tighten our belts, and it seems now we are on the last notch. So what will we do after we've exhausted all the notches in our belts? That's the story that we need to explore more deeply, because Kenyans are bound to pare down on a lot of things as far as the expenses are concerned, and this is the current reality that we have to live in. But despite the fact that this is going up, we have Salaries and Remuneration Commission that wants now to increase the packs of the president, increase the packs of the members of parliament by 14%. I was just looking at this and I was asking myself, in what world are we living in? Right? Is this a proposal? Are they also living in reality as far as our economy is concerned? Because it is you and me who are going to be paying up for this increased salaries. On the other hand, we have MCAs also seeking more packs for themselves, and it seems no one really gives a hoot, if I may just use that particular street word as well, as far as the current state of play is concerned with the economy. And that's the reality on the ground. We shall be looking at that with our panelists this morning. I'm joined this morning by Brian Weke, who is a lawyer, also Kipruto Rapkirwa, a governance and policy analyst, Dr. Isaac Kalua Green, who is the party leader of Green Thinking Action Party, and we're joined also as well by Dr. Martin Olo, who is an advocate of the High Court. A lot that we need to cover this morning. You can chime in, head over to our Twitter handle. Our Twitter handle is at KTN News, and at Dibalanea is my Twitter handle as well. What's your Twitter handle?
At Kalua Green.
At Kalua Green.
Yeah. At Dr. Isaac Kalua.
Dr. Isaac Kalua Green. So, okay. And Kipruto Rapkiro, naona hujafungua Twitter bado.
Nitaifungua.
I knew you have not. Yeah. We need to be on Twitter. We tag you as long.
I think I should.
We tag you along as well.
Yes.
Brian Weke, what's your Twitter handle?
At Brian Weke.
At Brian Weke. All right. At Brian Weke. At Dr. Isaac Kalua Green. And we'll say at Kipruto Arapkirwa.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that sounds nice.
Yes,
Martin alone will tell us what his is, so that you can also share your tweets with him as well. Let's see what is fresh off the press this morning. But before that, we've got just to hear how we'll be faring on today, especially with our panelists. I think the only person who will be benefiting, because he's gone, the green way, is Dr. Green. Dr. Green will not be affected by these green prices.
I have to be affected because these prices will be transferred to everywhere else where they...
But directly from the petrol station,
where
no.
I'm saved, yes.
At
least I drove zero to this point because of the electric car. So
of the electric car.
It's a small advantage.
Yes.
But I think it's very good. Being on the road, there's a time that I used my electric car for about 4 or 5 months consecutively without using any other car. And I'm telling you, it feels so special not to know how the inside of a petrol station looks like. And you're getting everywhere easy and fast and convenient and all that. So I think it's something, it just prepares us for greater things. But can you imagine how much painful it's going to be, not only on the road, but also on other products that we have? It's something that concerns all.
Right, and it seems you're really going big as far as electric vehicles are concerned, because I saw you somewhere in the papers yesterday.
Yes,
you made quite a big deal in China.
Yes.
What was happening in China? You're just from China.
It's a process of 7-year scientific process, engineering processes with engineers from different parts of the world, China, Japan, Italy, and Germany, just trying to get the most convenient vehicle that can be used in our country. And finally, we have a breakthrough with the world's top manufacturer of electric vehicles, number one. And we have come up with a Kenyan product that is going to be used very easily, very convenient. The vehicles are here for trials, and we are soon going to release them for mass production. They're going to be assembled eventually here in Kenya, and also looking forward to use local parts so that we can make it truly green as we do our own. It's a very great thing. The CEO, Joy Kalua, and the team that have been working on this have done a great job. I'm so proud of my team in doing all this, and therefore it's something that is extraordinary, and we thank God for it, and look forward to Kenyans adapting this. So that it's not just a one-time. And you know, it's going to be 200 kilometers and 300 kilometers. That is something extraordinary. It's really a big thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think now you're
and
creating...
I'm with my lawyer here, my professor, who is going to be doing much better. He's going to be the first client, Martin.
He's already ordered one?
Yes.
He's on the way? He doesn't look like green compliant. And there's nothing green on this guy.
He's very red.
Yeah, he's very red.
Unknown to you, he's very green.
You don't have said Mr. Green.
He's green inside. Yeah. In his soul is green. But there's no true reflection.
He's doing a very good job.
No, it's not what you see outside. It's what is inside.
Yes.
That's what is real. That's why when you see him inside, he's green. That is how he's expressed.
And I hope as well you're greening from the office, your law firm as well. Is green compliance. I think the world is heading towards,
it is
in economic and social governance as well, environmental social governance, ESG.
I'm glad that you are that green, Dr. Dibal.
Thank you.
This is where we get people to go to school. you know, my victim is somewhere here.
I know you'll really take a stab on him as far as his track record is concerned with his doctorates.
And I hope at some point we will talk about the EV motorcycles and all that, because it's a very important subject for the country.
Right.
Okay. At some point we need to talk about it, particularly the balance in that conversation, because I'm for green, but the discussions cannot be either or.
Yes.
We must find a fusion that allows us to operate optimally. So transitioning shouldn't be something that is 100%.
True.
But that's another conversation.
It shouldn't be 100%.
It shouldn't be, because you see, why shouldn't we explore some of our some of our facilities, some of our resources now, because we're being told they are dangerous. Yet at the same time, we don't have capacity to be able to go totally green at this stage. So we need a bit of that. After all, the people who are telling us...
It's hybrid.
People are telling us, survived on this carbon emitting energy before, to get where they are. So we must have a balance. But that's another conversation.
Right, even as we're talking about balance, we have a new acting CEO of the nuclear agency as well. And we need to also question ourselves, how far are we tracking as far as the nuclear energy is concerned? Because we have small reactors people now are actually putting up, as opposed to the huge reactors that sometimes people have a measure of trepidation as far as their safety is concerned as well. Right, that is the current state of play. Brian Weke, you need to also be greening yourself.
No, the Brian is
clearly wired.
Or since he's, it's a Baba's call. They normally say if Baba has read the Constitution, you have read the Constitution. He's gone green, you've grown green as well.
As you heard what Martin says, when you hang out with green, you become green.
It's all green. Let's see what is fresh off the press this morning. And we begin with the Daily Nation, where senior high schools in race against time is what is a splash this morning. Education this year marks end of Kenya Certificate of Primary Education, that is KCPE, examinations. The country's preparedness to implement senior secondary school that is Triple S, in 2.5 years, dominated debate at the Kenya Secondary School Heads of Association annual conference in Mombasa yesterday, with major concerns being raised about inadequate infrastructure and teacher training to handle the first cohort of competency-based curriculum learners, as well as funding and the students' choice of pathways. You have the story on page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation this morning. Senior high schools in race against time. And also, Raila moves to tighten grip on Nyanza Bay's Council Ruto inroads. Health crisis looms as nurses, clinical workers issue strike notice. And Osindo's body laying mortuary as family made frantic search. Finally, the body was discovered, the badly decomposed body of former Treasury employee Fred Tom Mokaya Osinde lay at the Migori Referral Hospital mortuary, unidentified for a week as his family frantically searched for him. This story continues on page 2 of the Daily Nation this morning. And how Kenyans are beating the tough times. With a sharp rise in cost of living, leaving many unable to afford the lifestyles they were used to. They are resorting to cut down on consumption of basic necessities, shop around for cheaper alternatives, or avoid them altogether. This is how they are tightening their belts. This continues on page 7 of the Daily Nation this morning. Also, death threats force ex-IEBC commissioner to flee country. This is a targeted former polls agency officials must run away in the night in her PJs, right? You can follow the story there on page 4 and 5 of the Star. Former polls agency official must run away in the night in her pajamas, hounded. That's what it's saying here. And the story continues on page 4 and 5 of the Star. Even as we were talking about ICC, the days are peeling off the calendar, and we have a by-election that is pending right now. Without the constitution of the IEBC, what does it portend for this particular by-election? Bipartisan talks, they were postponed indefinitely. Is there any ray of hope as far as the constitution of IEBC is concerned? This is a Star. Busia holds requiem mass for 7 children killed in a crash, and you can see mourners there paying their last respect, and their faces are also splashed here on the front page of the Star. 2 young mourners view portraits of pupils from Ebenezer Academy in Busia who perished in a road accident on Eldoret-Webuye Highway on June 24th. We have below Raymond Okoth, Primrose. Let me just try and zoom in there. We can condole with the families as well. This is Raymond Okoth. Raymond Okoth. We have Primrose Okoth. We have Myra Tasha. We have Faith Evans Acheng. We have Faith Acheng, Yvette Atieno, Adrian Craig, and Wendy Barasa. Those were the young lives that were lost in the road carnage. And we implore our school drivers to take good care. And also, many that are driving in the morning, especially on those major highways. Road courtesy, road safety is important. This is the Star for us this morning. Still on the front page of the Star, cops investigate dragging angle in Osinde murder, and why Nairobians should brace for higher water bills. That is what the CS has been proposing right now. Nairobi residents are staring at higher water bills after the state announced plans to change or to charge the county government for supplies. Water and Sanitation CS Alice Wahome said government is working on a legislation to compel the country to pay for the commodity. All right, and we have also succession wars, how Kalonzo might thrash Ruto in 2027 general election. Will Raila new strategy succeed? That is a probing question there. And you have the Siasa Pullout magazine that comes in handy for you every Friday inside the Star. People Daily, get ready for high fuel cost. Get ready. Tax measure bites. Energy regulator will today unveil steeper prices. 16% VAT on control on petrol products takes effect starting midnight today. And April is saying, following the enactment into law of the Finance Act 2023, we will on Friday, which is today, June 30th, announce the reviewed maximum petroleum pump prices. 1 litre of petrol is set to cost 193.77 in Nairobi, up from 182.04. Diesel set to retail 177 shillings 0.94, up from current 167.28. Kerosene consumers to buy a litre at 171.71, up from the current 161.48. That is how your pocket will be affected. Row over new school uniforms rocks talks. That is in Mombasa. Policeman shoots boss, kills himself. And you can follow the story inside the People Daily this morning. Nairobi all set to host marathon. That is on the back page of the People Daily. Now, SRC is seeking fatter pay for senior officials. Salaries team led by Lynn Mingich invites public to give views on new packs for officers. Is that the right move now? Especially to go to the public to seek views. All right, the president for the new packs, it says the president, this is President William Ruto, current salary is 1,443 shillings, and the proposed new salary will be 1,546 million shillings. Rigathi Gachagua, current salary is 1,227 million shillings, and we have a proposed salary will be increased to 1,367 million shillings. Wetangula, his current salary is 1,160 shillings. Proposed will be 1,210. We have Emerson Kingi, currently at 1.16. The proposed will be 1.210. Justin Muturi, the Attorney General, 924. His will be increased to 990. Also, CJ Martha Koome, 990. His will be increased to 1,327 shillings. Others, we have the cabinet secretaries there. Current cabinet secretaries are earning 924,000. Their proposed is 990. Also, governors 924, proposed as well 990. Principal secretaries 765. 188. Proposed will be 819, 844,000. IG of Police, NIS, DG, 765. That will be increased to 819. And the Deputy Chief Justice, 821. It will go up to 1.327. Proposed. Seems Deputy Chief Justice and Chief Justice will be on the same par on the proposed salary. And also MCS, 144, 375. Proposed will be 154, 481. And of course, they've been asking for a double of that amount. This is the reality on the ground. But even at the same day that they will be seeking public views, well, I want just to seek the views of my panelists as well. Kipruto Arab Kiro, just beginning with you. So if they come to you to talk about this, what would you say?
Well, usually it doesn't worry me. The salary of an individual is not as much as the cost of that particular office. In most cases, salary of an MP, salary of an MCA is what the public will talk about. But the most important component is the cost of maintaining that office. Today, a member of parliament as a PA, both in Nairobi and the constituency, he has a driver, he has a bodyguard who will go around him all 24 hours or 7 days a week. All that is the cost that we should be looking at as a people of Kenya. During our tenure, the 15 years I served, first as a member of parliament, before as a minister, I did not have an official driver. I did not have an official PA, either here or at the constituency level. I did not have all these kind of associated costs that go with the office of a member of parliament. Today, I feel the really cost, the hidden cost, is in that particular office than the salary that somebody takes away. Because for me, if it is properly accounted for, it is not much. It never even gets home. I'm better today getting the little I'm getting from pension than getting about $1 million when I was a member of parliament or a minister. Because there's nobody at the gate to come and take away what I've earned. Whatever little I get, I'm able to share with the electricity bill and the cost of fuel now that is going to go up by another 14 shillings, and the cost of other things in this country. But I'm lucky there's nobody demanding of my pension, unlike what used to happen. Such that there's no member of parliament today, if he's serving his constituents well, will go home with a full package. By the time end of month comes, if you are in a ministry, you'll have done a lot of IOUs to the treasury of that particular ministry. And the last day, you'll be given perhaps 100,000 if you are lucky. At times, we could be given about 16,000 at the end of the month because you've been trying to take care of people because of the very culture of our society. Once you become a leader, you become a money ATM. You become the first place of call when somebody is unwell in your family or in your neighborhood. You become everything, as it were. So my worry is really the cost of the office, but not in terms of takeaway salary.
All right. But let's hear from Dr. Kalua as well. People are asking, it's not even about the matter of running the office. Should we even be considering raising PACs right now with the current state of play of the economy? Because they are the same people who have been saying the coffers are empty, so where are we going to get this money to? Or now that since we've passed the finance bill, it seems money is going to check in. So the reason why we should be hiking salaries.
As long as there is an opportunity to raise salaries, as long as there is an opportunity to get more, as long as the Constitution opens up this kind, and as long as our thinking is one that we need to get more as opposed to deal with the ceiling of the loopholes that take us to this, people will ask for more. I mean, haven't we seen a matter that is being presented, petition to also include people who have been corrupt to get back to appointments of power.
To amend the anti-corruption bill.
Yes. So people will always go for where there is an opportunity because the solution seems to be in getting more as opposed to dealing with what we already have. And I leave it open to see what the conscience of all these people is going to be at because I mean, the members of parliament, the MCAs, and the team members who are out there just simply represent who we are. And therefore, there is not much of a difference that we are going to see until that time that we deal with our systems in the best way possible, understanding and appreciating that we have a collective responsibility in this country to deal with what we have, and particularly the public coffers in what we use it for. The demands, as Mheshimiwa has just said, they are too high. You are a leader and you have people waiting for you outside every day because you are the ATM, to use the same word that Mheshimiwa just used. So it's something that is bigger that we need to deal with at a different level. What we are just seeing are signs of a broken society.
Right. Martin Lowe.
I want to say that it's not the right time to be talking about salaries and PACs for big shots. Because the economy is in the doldrums and people are hurting, and therefore it's not the right time to talk about it. But that said, I want to say that it's not about salary for the president, the deputy president, the speaker. And as Mheshimiwa Kirwa is saying, why would the president need a salary when everything in his house, every bill of his is paid for by me, by the public? The State House is spending 8.3 million on hospitality per day. It's not on anything else on food and those kind of things. So his state house is taken care of. So it's not about salary. Not for the deputy president, not for the speaker, not for all these big offices, because the perks they are having, domestic servants and whatnot, are just, it's part of what the public is funding. So it's a wrong time to be looking at salaries. But more importantly for me, there is a price in serving in public office. It's not about salary. The day we lost it is the day we decided that for you to work as a member of parliament, for you to serve people, you should be paid a salary, and you should be pensionable, and you should be having house allowance, and you should be having. That's not what you get from public service. In public service, you go to give of yourself. It is understood that you already have something, and therefore you are able to give. Not that you are going there to look for money. Of course, we have since changed our politics because we made it a money place. So every charlatan, every conman in town wants to be a member of parliament, wants to be an MCA, because of the money and because of the opportunities to corrupt the system and to make more money. Gone are the days of Mheshimiwa Hikirwa here. I am sure that when you first went into parliament, you hardly had a salary of 200,000.
It was 18,000.
Yes. Yeah. You and the people like Martin Chukuku, and then that's why parliament was a place to serve for 3 days. You were there on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Monday, Friday, you were busy seeing people and also doing your other things. But we have said now, still 3 days by the way, it's still Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But we are demanding a salary for it, parks for it. We are even asking to be given, look at all those things that people are asking for. That's never. When you look at other countries, when you look at Joe Biden, when you look at him as a senator, when you look at generally the salary of people's servants, people's representatives, it's not about anything you can take home. They move in public transport, they live among people. Some of them live in flats. If you look at the story of Obama, he used to live in a flat, then he travels every weekend to his family in Chicago, So the point is that we have abused public office, and we have actually turned upside down public service spirit. So if you want a salary, go and be a corporate CEO. Go and join Mr. Green to make money. When he talks about green, it's not for nothing. There's money there to be made. So
the greenbacks, not the green.
The greenbacks to be made. So go and join the money train. Yeah, the money train. But this business of going to politics to make money and to earn a salary is inimical to good leadership. It is antithesis of what public service is about. So we are so preoccupied. No wonder we have a salaries remuneration commission to talk about salaries for MPs, big shots. No.
Right. It is inimical, it is antithesis, and it is, I was waiting for the word, an anathema. To say it as well from Martin. But let's hear from Brian Weka.
An oxymoron.
An oxymoron.
Yeah. How do you want to give service and at the same time to be paid for it? No, you give of yourself. Philanthropy doesn't require that you get anything. It assumes that you already have a base from which you can.
So do you find it is a really bad taste to actually talking about hikes, and Kenyans are really wondering how. I'd open the show by talking about how we've tightened our belts. At least I'm on my last notch. I'm wondering then now which other notch now do we need?
You might not even have anything to tie now.
Dibal, I'm very disappointed in SRC. The reason why we created a salaries and remuneration commission was so that we have an independent body that would determine salaries of public officers. A long time ago, and Kiro and Martin will tell you, when a mayor was elected or a town council chairman,
yes,
the first agenda would be to determine the salaries of councillors. And when a speaker was elected at a national level, the first business of the house was to determine how much they were going to be paid, both in terms of salaries and other attendant costs. So we said, no, you cannot be a public officer and at the same time you determine what you need to earn in terms of salary and other emoluments. Now, under the new constitution, one of the key commissions that we created was an independent salaries and remuneration commission. And clearly, as you've heard Dr. Olo saying, public service ought to be public service. We are still commercializing public service. Why does SRC still commercialize public service? It is supposed to be an independent commission that says, look here, you either serve in a commercial setup or you serve in the public. But when you come to serve in public, then your salaries cannot be the same as corporate. But anyway, I can see they have asked us for public participation. And I'm just wondering, why is it that the head of the legislature, the proposal is earning less than the head of judiciary? Does it mean that in terms of checks and balances, is judiciary higher than the legislature? The executive, then we can understand because that is the head of state. But in terms of checks and balances, a lecturer here will tell us about the John Locke and the idea. And you know, it's so sad that I'm looking at the proposed increments with this economy. MCA is only earning an extra 10,000, while others are being added around over 200,000. What is the rationale? What is the rationale? I know everybody, because of the tough times, everybody wants a salary increase from workers on the ground all the way up. But how do we justify these salaries? Why add one 200,000 and another one 10,000? Because if you look at what is being proposed in the finance bill, you add an MC 10,000, you will remove way more than that in terms of other levies and taxes. So again, we have to be fair. Justice has to be served for all public servants.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, that said, Debal, there is always a second side to looking at things. There is the Constitution. And the Constitution allows one to be protected in terms of deductions and all that, where you have to be consulted in this kind of a process. It so happened some time back when there was additional tax to the salaries of judges in this country, and they were not consulted, and it was unconstitutional, and therefore there was a need to quickly increase their salary to cover for that specific increment in taxes that had been done without full consultation in the process. There may be a reason that seated on this table that we don't know, that may be required to be considered, because they are looking at things on a bigger space and considering a lot of things that we don't know. It could be also, you know, government is very well informed with the national intelligence and all that. It could be also something to do with the finance bill, where an increment where it was not consulted is being covered out of this kind of a process.
But that is purely speculative.
Yes, all I'm saying is there is always a second way of looking at things. There may be something that we don't know that this team is looking at with all the facts, maybe alignment of the entire salary regime. It could be something that has taken a long time to be arrived at up to this point, and therefore we are just seeing it at the wrong time, where we are looking at all this. So I always want to give benefit of doubt in this. I'm not. Yes, exactly. But this is the reality. that
There's something which was missed now that has to be captured now.
You never
And this
know.
is the opportune time.
You never know because those guys are not here. No, I'm just saying it's always fair, even as because I've given my opinion.
Yeah.
But then there is an opportunity of something that we don't know. We have no idea what it is all about. Why at this time? Why the disparity?
I fail to understand
like Brian is
yes.
saying.
Yeah.
Why 200? Why 100? Why 10,000?
That is the
why
missing,
all this?
Dr. Green, that's the missing thing. If you want to do this, you give rationale in advance. You make us work with you. You start by saying there is a rationale behind what we are about to do, and this is why. And then give the data and say, so that you don't go to look for, there must be a reason. Where is it?
We are a country.
It cannot be under the table. It cannot be hidden in the hubris. So, let's get it that we need a rationalization. To tell people to participate means that you have to give them a rationale that they can contribute to. Otherwise, it's a smoke screen. At the end of it, it costs us to do public participation, not to go and spend money. I mean, there is an abuse of our constitution. You want us to increase salary, so you tell us, let's do public participation, so that again it costs us. Give us a good rationale. Maybe there's a different way we can participate. Maybe we can just do a questionnaire. Maybe we can just respond by way of online. And we finish it.
Otherwise, Mr. Green is just being the devil's advocate, literally.
But the devil has never needed an advocate.
At least I
so able by himself.
You see, what I'm saying, there has always been a big lack of information remittance to the public on what is needed. It is not starting now. It's bigger now in the current regime, where a lot of good information or good intentions are taken up, but the information is not shared in the best way to the public so that you move with them. So I agree with you, my prof. But all we need to do is to understand if SRC was invited here to talk about what why they did what they have done, you'll be surprised to get information that may be useful. So that is all. I'm just leaving it.
From a communication perspective, it's a disjointed communication because, and you know it, this regime isn't good at communicating. It started with the levy, housing levy. It was not a tax, it was a saving. It was a saving, it was not a tax. It was we moved up to now, we don't know what it is. Communication. So that when you start off an idea and you have not thought it through and you have not built a rationale behind it, and therefore build up the arguments, you wobble, you oscillate between the known and the unknown. I don't think that we need salaries, that's what you're saying. Now, unless you are telling us that there's something so good that has happened in the environment, indeed inflation is here, this inflation is only affecting the top leaders, and that the rest of Kenyans do not deserve tax relief. Look at the opposite. We are taxing Kenyans to the bone, and yet you are telling us that other people need a bit of more money because mambo ni mbaya, things are bad. Very wrong messaging.
And therein lies the point. You see, if there was a salary increment when the economy is doing good, just like in any company, it is then commensurate to the rate of inflation. And that makes sense. But not in a situation that we are in right now as a country. It just sends the wrong message, and therefore it makes sense.
That's what we're asking. Is it a providential time to really actually be talking about the salary hikes as it is? I wanted just to also reflect briefly. Yesterday we had this particular headline on the Business Daily: reveal big pay gaps divides CEOs and workers, and they're broken down. The Cooperative Bank, we have the CEOs earning 135.6 times more than the lowest worker. We have 118.5 times, that is for KCB Bank, that is more than the lowest worker. We have 69.8 times Safaricom. Looking at Equity Bank, 71.6 times, 39.1 times, that is Absa Bank. And the question they were asking or the question that was being broached here was the fact that looking at these figures, the parastatal CEO being led by the Cooperative Bank, the CEO are earning more even than the private sector. And what will have justified that?
Well, Cooperative Bank is not a parastatal. It's not a parastatal.
No, I'm asking for it is a what? It's not a parastatal.
Cooperative bank is a private entity within the cooperative movement. So there are cooperators who own it, but there are also individuals who own it. So that in this particular sense, it is not a government organization. It is within the cooperative movement.
But does the government have shares in cooperative bank?
No, cooperators have shares. If government has shares in cooperative, it's dismal. Because if government were having shares in Coop Bank, you would see it in AGMs and you would see it in the voting. Government treasury does not participate in the Coop Bank affairs. It doesn't. Coop Bank is owned initially by cooperatives and then individuals as well. So the current CEO of Cooperative Bank is a major shareholder of Coop Bank. Mm-hmm. So his income
is a major shareholder.
Yes, a major shareholder. Mm-hmm. His income is something between shareholder, CEO, bonuses, and so on. So there is a way in which, of course, the private sector rewards. Now, let me say this.
What about KCB?
KCB is owned as government.
Yes.
As a government shareholder.
Yes.
Yeah. So KCB is, yes, partly government.
No, it is not. It is not. They just have a percentage.
Just saying a percentage, but a huge percentage. How do you know? Yes.
Percentage. The general point here is this: is there anything wrong where financial private entities pay handsomely? Safaricom, KCB, Coop Bank, Equity? No. Why? They are paying from the returns they are making. World over, businesses reward their employees or their CEOs in order for them to perform. So if you make for us the billions, we share with you the billions. That is a different argument from the public where we are not profit making. And therefore, whatever we are giving you...
My point was,
yes.
If we could actually just get clarity now that you've clarified that it's not really purely a government entity. Of course, it's not. And even the government does not really own shares. And why there was that disparity between them, like KCB, and even like a blue chip like Safaricom, where you won in terms of performance, who will be actually having a bigger pack for the CEO?
For me, I have no problem. If you make the money, but you can put a
dole out to the CEO.
But Debal, Martin is very capitalistic.
Yes,
in his thinking, and I don't fault him. And if you hear him respond, he says, "If you make the money, why not?" But the question is, who is making the money? Is it only the CEO or the entire workforce? If you ask me, really, the disparity between a CEO and the lowest earning individual is too high. Let's call a spade a spade. I know we are in a capitalistic world. It is not Martin, the CEO, who is the only person making that money. If you cannot manage this workforce, then you will not make that money. It is not an individual effort. It is a team effort.
Mm-hmm. So you're paying for managing that workforce.
Yeah. So 30 times difference is such a huge amount.
130 times difference.
This is not a moral issue.
It's just business.
Business.
I just want to respectfully disagree with Dr. Martin Olo when he says it's not a moral issue. It's purely moral. Moral in the sense that you cannot justify an institution making profit and you attribute it entirely to the CEO. It is the entire workforce of that institution that makes it possible. And perhaps some of the cleanings that makes a salary of a CEO is money that could have packled down to the lowest of the cadre for purposes of ensuring that the staff is properly motivated. The thing that I know when it comes to issues of human resource, it is not salary alone, but it is the work environment, including what your boss is taking home and what you are not taking home. That is what determines the motivation to any worker, whether it's a big institution, government-owned or privately owned. Every worker must feel is part and parcel of the success of that particular institution. The second issue, which I think is very important, is the issue of public participation. When you're telling us that we participate publicly, when did we hear the last time that the public views were taken into consideration?
When it comes to salaries.
salaries or anything else. Even the finance bill that they are saying it was the most talked about finance bill over the period. The views that Kenyans gave were never reflected in the final draft and the amendments that they did in Parliament. I think if I was to reflect without being nostalgic to the regime of President Moi was better in listening to the pulse rate of the nation. You would have a lot of debate started by people like Sharif Nasir, Kariuki Chotara, Mulumutisia, Ezekiel Barangetuny, name it. And at the end of the day, President Moi will come with a position that the public will say, yes, we've been heard. Today, it is like when they are drafting, they just want to rub it the wrong way to the public, and they don't care what you say and what you do not say. And when it comes to this issue of SCRC, I think SCRC has been placed in a very awkward position. All the time, they are bombarded with salaries left, right, center. What I would have expected today is that the regime of the day would have spent more time thinking on how the impact of finance bill will do to the public, and perhaps in January next year, when there is something reflected that yes, there is some relief that is coming out of the collectings that they are getting out of the house levy, that was not supposed to be a tax, but now eventually it's a tax without clear description of where the money will go and who will be taking care of that particular money. But doing it now is the wrong way to do it. Also, the most important thing is what I've insisted, audit query on the issue of human resource. The workforce, the wage bill that we talk about every day, I strongly believe 20 to 30% of it, if we were to do proper human resource audit of every institution, right from the MCS office all the way to the president's office and various parastatals and commissions, there is a lot that we can clean out of it and ensure that the public is lessened in terms of the burdening of the wage bill. The wage bill today is not a reflection of the people who are working for this nation. There is close to 20 to 30%. And I say so, not as a human resource practitioner, but somebody well trained in human resource. I can say that because I know better than Martin when it comes to issues of human resource. Because we have workers who are not doing anything to contribute to the well-being of this nation. Some because people have brought their cronies, some because people have certain positions that were not properly outlined by the Constitution, but we have employed them. Today, a governor can have up to 15 to 20 what they call CEOs under the guise that they are doing this and they are doing that. They can have so many task forces that are doing nothing at the end of the day. So there are no proper guidelines on the optimal way of using the human resource that we have in every institution.
Right, thank you. I think that will be a good point to actually take a station break. It is 7 o'clock on the nose. When we circle back, we look at this and more regarding the salaries that they are seeking. This is SRC, 14%. What do you think about that percentage? Is it way too high, looking at the current state of play of the economy as it is right now? Remember also, Kakamega County has a bill that is seeking to have the spouse get money also from the county, so that one also is enacted into law. That is a spousal bill that Kakamega County is also mooting, so that at least the governor or the leadership of the county will have way on how they can recognize the First Lady as an official, also, should I say executive, quote unquote, in the county as well, and that also for the deputy governor. All that is in the spousal bill. You need to get intimately acquainted with it. We take a short break. Don't go away. When we circle back, we'll look at that and more.